So it's been a couple months now since the Nintendo Switch 2 has been released, and before release, I was not excited for this console at all, and while yes, technically, it is a great upgrade over the original Switch 1, it did have a lot of aspects that Nintendo was doing with the system that just made me not excited for it and not want to buy it. From the absurd price, $80 games, and paying to play your own games online, and all that, I decided to pass on the Nintendo Switch 2, and upon its release, the Nintendo Switch 2 has introduced even more issues that I am going to be going over in this video. So with all that being said, let us just get into it. And to start off with the big issue that I mentioned before in the past, before the system was released, is the price of the console. And you are being scammed with the Nintendo Switch 2 in countries outside of Japan, because in Japan the Nintendo Switch 2 only costs $350, but other countries outside of Japan are forced to spend an extra $100 or $300 for the console, and this absolutely makes no sense, because if you could price it at an affordable $350 for a certain place in the world, why can't you just do that for every place in the world? And it's even worse for me, because where I live, which is in Canada, the Nintendo Switch 2 costs the equivalent of $629, and if you want to get the Mario Kart World bundle with it, it will cost me $699, which will make it $700, and plus tax is probably going to make it a lot more. The Nintendo Switch 2 is so expensive, it should only be $350 like it is in Japan. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't make it $350 like it is in Japan, and they raise the price by like $100 or $300 in other countries, but you know, it's just really stupid. And on top of the console being hella expensive, the accessories are also so expensive for no reason. The accessories will cost like you around $50 or more, and for console accessories, they should not cost that much. They should be cheap. They're add-ons for the console. They should not cost like $50 or more. And like I said, for me in Canada, the Nintendo Switch 2 accessories and like the console are very pricey for no reason at all. For some reason, a Nintendo Switch Pro controller or a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller will cost me the equivalent of $109. That is not worth it for a controller in the slightest. And what makes it even worse is the fact that I got this Nintendo Switch Pro controller for the regular Switch for only like $23 or more. So if Nintendo can price their controllers for $23 or something with the Switch 1, I see no reason as to why they can't price their controllers for the exact same amount with the Switch 2. And something that's even more stupid is the fact that the Switch 1 dock comes with this little thing where you could put your controllers on it or Joy-Cons on it and it charges them. But for some reason, if we go to look at the dock for the Nintendo Switch 2, you could see that it does not have a like little Joy-Con charger thing on the dock at all, like you could see my Switch 1 has. And it's so stupid, like why are they removing a basic thing from the dock that should be there? And for some reason, they're selling the Joy-Con chargers separately as like a whole different add-on. So as someone who packs their Nintendo Switch 1 a lot when I go out places, it just makes it convenient for the dock to have the Joy-Con chargers. But for this, to have to buy a whole separate item just to charge my Joy-Cons is not worth it. And another thing, I just don't like the color of the Joy-Cons being all black and stuff, because it just makes the Switch 2 boring. Like, as you can see here with the Switch 1, you have a variety of different Joy-Con colors you could choose, but on the Switch 2, it's only black, and like, just why? The Nintendo Switch 2 console and its accessories cost way too much for just a handheld device, and the thing that frustrates me even more than the price of the console and the accessories is the games, because the games are like $70 to $80 for the Nintendo Switch 2, and that is not worth it. Like, they made Mario Kart World $80, and that Mario Kart is a spin-off racing series. A spin-off racing series should not be $80. Better yet, I don't think any game should be $80, because I don't think any game is worth $70 or $80. $60 was already pushing it, but now that you've made your game $70 or $80, like, gaming is supposed to be a hobby. So when these companies make games and the consoles more and more expensive, like, cause there are some people who survive paycheck to paycheck, so it's literally a case of, do you buy a week's worth of groceries or a single Nintendo Switch 2 game? I feel like the price for video games should be priced at like 30 to 40 max, and like 50 or 60 for deluxe editions and stuff. The games being $70 and $80 are too much, especially for that analogy I just made. And some people survive paycheck to paycheck, and they have to decide what they can spend their money on. So having the console and the accessories and everything be this expensive, and Nintendo is already a multi-billion-dollar company, so it's not like they would be losing money from making this stuff cheaper. And plus, if they made it cheaper, more people would buy the stuff, even though a lot of people have already got the Nintendo Switch 2. But like, more people who don't want it would get it if it was like a lot cheaper, like $350 if the accessories were cheaper, and if the games were like priced at an affordable $50. But yeah, I think I've gotten all my issues out with the pricing of all the accessories, the console, and the games. Another thing about the games that I mentioned, and the Nintendo Switch 2 itself that I mentioned in my video talking about why the Nintendo Switch 2 just keeps getting worse. For the Nintendo Switch 2, you are paying an absurd amount of money to own the Nintendo Switch 2, but Nintendo, in their user license agreement or whatever the fuck, said that you won't even own the Nintendo Switch 2. You will own the license to play the Nintendo Switch 2 and its games. And for like physical games, like it doesn't even contain like the game key card. It contains a $80 key to download the game through the internet. So practically with the Nintendo Switch 2, you don't even own anything. And I was a bit wrong about how you own the games, because for regular Nintendo Switch 2 games, like the exclusives, it's not on a game key card and you will own it yourself. But for third-party games, they go for game key cards, which does have a license that you need to download from the internet in order to play them. And when that license eventually goes offline, these cartridges will be considered useless, and I'll let SF Productions explain why this is stupid, as he made a video going over the game keycards.
To the casual eye, it might seem a little weird that people are complaining about this. Having to insert a game and download it is nothing new to most people. But between PS5 games and Switch 2 keycard games, there's a key difference. Oh, fucking hell. With most PS5 games, the data is almost always stored entirely on the disc, and the console copies the data from the disc to your SSD for the game to run. With keycards, there is nothing on these cartridges other than a license for you to download the game from the internet. So when the servers inevitably go offline years down the line, these cartridges will be rendered useless. It's terrible for game preservation. It sucks even more when you learn that newer PS5 and Xbox Series X games now require extra data to be downloaded from the internet. Bro, like, why? Even from a game collector's perspective, I absolutely love having all of my games lined up on a shelf. It just looks cool. But coolness also comes from the fact that I know that I actually own all of these games and their data. With keycards, it kinda just feels like I'm buying an empty box for no reason. Seriously, like, outside of collecting, what is the appeal of buying a keycard over just downloading the game digitally?
And yeah, the game keycards and everything are stupid, as as SF Productions explained, but now I'm going to get into my final issues with the Nintendo Switch 2. So in the Nintendo Switch 2 user agreement, Nintendo said that if you make any unauthorized modifications to your Nintendo Switch 2, your console will be remotely deactivated so that you cannot play games on it anymore. And this is so stupid because you're paying an absurd amount of money to own this console, yet you won't even own it. You'll just own the license to play it and its games. And on top of that, if you do something Nintendo doesn't like if you breathe without their permission or sneeze the wrong way, they'll just brick your console because they don't like what you're doing. And if you pay money for a product, especially like a video game system, you should be able to do whatever you want with it. Nintendo should not be doing this whole license shit where you don't even truly own the Nintendo Switch 2. If you buy something, you should have rights to do what you want with it because you paid the company to own it, not paid the company to own a license to something. And yeah, it's just really stupid, with the bricking and stuff and how you won't even actually own the Nintendo Switch 2. Now we get to my final big 2 issues with the Nintendo Switch 2. You have to pay to play your games online, when back then this never used to be a thing. They started doing it with the Switch 1, where you have to pay to play your games online. But the worst thing by far is the C button on the controller, which for those of you who don't know, the C button on the Nintendo Switch 2 controllers will activate game chat, so you could open a party with your friends on Nintendo and share screen and do stuff like that a PlayStation party or Xbox party lets you do. But starting May something of 2026, that C button will be a membership feature where you have to pay a subscription to go on game chat with your friends, when Nintendo at this point is just being completely greedy from the price of the console, the accessories, the games, and how you won't even own the console, and how a super basic feature that is game chat is being locked behind a membership. Yes, it's free right now, but starting May of 2026, it won't be. So and PlayStation and Xbox don't make you have memberships to do basic stuff like go on game chat. Why is game chat a membership thing? It is literally a thing where you join a party with your friends and do whatever. That should not be a membership thing. Nintendo is being completely greedy with the Nintendo Switch 2, and that is all my points that I have to bring up for the Nintendo Switch 2 in this video. Most things have stayed the same, but there were a couple new ones, like the game key cards and the fact that you have to pay for game chat starting May of 2026. And yeah, that's all my problems with the Nintendo Switch 2. But is there anything good about the Nintendo Switch 2? Well, yes. Even though most of the stuff that Nintendo is doing with this console is very annoying and pisses me off a lot, there are some good stuff about the Nintendo Switch 2, about how it's a very good upgrade over the original Switch from the Switch 1, because as we all know, the Switch 1 was underpowered, but the Nintendo Switch 2 can run games at 1080p, 120 FPS in handheld mode, and 4K 60 in docked mode. But if your TV supports 1440p, you could even play it at 1440p, 120 FPS. So it is a very big upgrade over the original Switch 1, and it is confirmed to be as powerful as a PS4 Pro. But then that brings up another issue, is the fact that while yes, the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware is good right now, I have a feeling in the future we are going to see a repeat of the Nintendo Switch 1, where the hardware is too underpowered and games have to be cramped to hell to get it to be able to run on the Nintendo Switch 2, since it's only as powerful as a PS4 Pro. When consoles like the PS6 come out and the next-gen Xbox, which is basically a console version of a PC, I have a feeling we're gonna see a repeat of the Nintendo Switch 1, where the hardware, while good, is underpowered. And yeah, there is a little bit of good about the Nintendo Switch 2, but that good also comes with problems as well. So overall, I would give the Nintendo Switch 2 a 3 out of 10. And so anyways, in conclusion, I would give the Nintendo Switch 2 a 3 out of 10. It has some good aspects, but those aspects also comes with a lot of problems, and it also just has a lot more bad than good with the whole platform. And I would like to give a huge thanks to SF Productions for the clip that I borrowed in my video, and I would also like to thank United G for the Call of Duty background gameplay that you see in the video. I will leave both of the links to the videos in the description below if you want to watch them, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified for when I post future videos, and go follow my TikTok at SonicEditYT, and go join the Discord server in the link in the description or in the link in my channel. Anyways, I love you guys, and goodbye.